In this video, I'll look at blocking in an animation with the Anibot. Making a 30-second animation, or any animation, takes some time and iteration. So for these videos, I'll look at just a simple jump here with some anticipation. We'll start out by blocking in the motion, getting the main frames or the key frames established and really making sure the poses are strong first before we deal with tweening. To start with, I'll take off the keys for the motion test. I'll select all the objects here, and there's the keys down in the timeline. I'll select them and press delete. Now all the animation is gone from the Anibot and we're ready to animate. I'm going to start out by making sure he starts on the floor, pressing F for front view and G for grid, and then Z to zoom in. He starts out right on the zero plane, and I'm going to move him up so that his bottom lands on this black zero line. I'll pick his master control and pull him up. He's about 2 meters tall or so, and so roughly about a meter up looks pretty good. Now I'm ready to get him animated, and I'm going to do it here in a front view to begin. What I'll do is to set my default key type, flying out my default type and choosing stepped. What this lets me do is put a key in and then hold that pose up until the next key where it jumps to the next pose. We can use either auto key or set key, and either works nicely for this. What we'll do is to start out by having him start here. He'll crouch down and then spring up. Notice where he is, and then fall. It's a classic cartoon gag, noticing that you are over nothing before you fall down. I'll check the time configuration and see how many frames I've got to deal with and at what frame rate they're running. I'll click on the time configuration, and it looks like we're running at film at 24 frames per second. Right now I've got, give or take, 6 seconds available on the timeline. I'm going to put this up a little bit by making that length 240. This gives me 10 seconds to play with, and I can always add more if needed. To begin then, I'll scrub over to maybe 24, 25, 26 frames, press N for auto key, and I'm going to have him crouch down. I'll start out by pressing R, and in this case I'm going to use just the scale, scaling him down just a little bit on the Y-axis so he crouches. Then I'll press W for move and pull him down. Auto key then puts a key at 0 in addition to whatever frame we're on. So he starts out up and then jumps into that scale down here at 26. After that, I'll scrub over and say he's crouched down and then needs to jump up. Maybe over a couple of seconds, he'll come up a little bit. I'll move him up to where the jump is supposed to go and press R for scale. What I can do in this case to insert a scale key is either scale him on the Y-axis or come down here to this transform type in and put it back up. I've pressed R for scale, and so I'm going to go back and make sure I've got non-uniform scale selected and return him back to 100. This adds in a key there, and so now he squats down and jumps up and returns back to full size. I can even have him elongate as part of this, going here at 62 up to maybe a little bit stretched out. Now I'll scrub over and return him back to 100% on the scale. Again, I can press R for scale, and there's that transform type in. I'll put it at 100, and there's a new key. He's going to look side to side and notice, so I'll switch over to rotation. I'll press E for rotate, making sure no fields are active, and put in some rotation. He's going to look over to the left, and then really quick over to the right. Then finally, he'll look down. And this is where a roll might be kind of neat. I'm going to use one axis and then scrub his roll a little bit, pulling him over and a little bit over on the Y to maybe cock his head to the side. Again, scrubbing back and forth, we can see him snapping in the poses, and this is blocking in the animation. What we want to do is really judge, are we on the right pose at this stage before we see it smoothing between. After we've got this in, we can push the keys around until the timing of each pose is right, and then work on the smoothing. What I'll also do is right-click on the timeline and choose Configure and Show a Selection Range. This gives me a range of keys if I need to scale them out. I can also use my filters. In this case, here on the filters, I can filter down what's selected. Alternately, if you right-click on the timeline and choose Filter, there's filters available, and I'll choose Current Transform. Right now it's only showing my rotation keys as an example. Or if I press R for Scale, those are just the scale keys, or W for Move, those are just the position keys. This way I can block out that animation and test it out. I'll turn off Auto Key and play it and see how this looks. He crouches down, jumps up, looks around, and notices. Now I'm ready to work on other parts, such as the drop and also getting his eyelids and brow expressions right. But I want to get the main pose blocked in first, before I get into the subtleties.